did this whole like Satan, like satanic video, which like fucking rock on, dude. Cool. The music may not be for me, but I'm all the way with your fucking, whatever you're doing, dude. But she made some comment on Twitter about like, if you support Nas, then don't bother supporting me or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, it sucks that you got kicked out for the reasons that you did, but also fuck you.
Yeah. Now that's actually kind of funny that like, it's almost like, now she has a spotlight because she did something wrong, and then it's like, well, I'm going to use this, and, now I'm going to start controversies on Twitter about shit. You know what I mean? Like, now that it's like when somebody has a post that goes off really big on Twitter, and then like they always will like pin to the top, like, by the way, check out my podcast. Like it's the number one fucking move, So it's like, hey, while you're all arguing with me, by the way, like I'm just going to use this and I'm going to be famous now because I smoked some weed. Like, she'll turn up on like reality shows and like shit. She's going to make so much more money because like they don't make any money for the fucking Olympics. She's going to do so much better for getting busted for smoking weed. She's going to have so much shit come her way because now she's like been elevated to this level than she ever would have competing in the fucking Olympics. Our world is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But as like weighing the difference between like, people who start like a podcast or something, similar, and the common critique of like, well, you got no talent, you're just jumping on the bandwagon. But it's like, all she needed to do was train for 20 years to qualify for the Olympics to get a successful podcast.
Well, I don't know if she has a podcast. She guarantees she will. Guarantees she will, But yeah, that's a good point, But that's actually even more to the point of how crazy it is with the Olympics. Like how that's a whole conversation in itself. How these people train and you win the medals, but they're not making much money. They're not taking care of that well, really, for like everything they do. And then you do your one Olympics, maybe two. I think the really lucky people, depending on the sport, like I think Michael Phelps was maybe in 3 Olympics or something like that, But so you have this brief little window, once every 4 years you get to do your thing, and then it's just like, oh, we're done with you. Like, that's got to be fucking hard coming, like, you're like, think with gymnasts. They have all this shit, like, at 17 years old, and then they just get, like, disposed of right after that. Like, nobody, that's got to be hard. I don't know. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
It's like a child.
You mentioned Michael Phelps. Didn't the same shit happen to him?
Well, he got, after he had won, his like 20 gold medals in that, like, I think it was like the Sydney Summer Olympics or something like that. I remember watching him. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Maybe it was London. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I should just stick with it. It doesn't matter. But he was filmed like after the Olympics, and he was out, biggest celebrity like on Earth for like a little bit there, and somebody caught him, like took a picture of him like hitting a bong or something, and then but he did have to like apologize, like, oh, I made such a big mistake for smoking weed, even though I just won 20 fucking gold medals. Like I think it's okay, dude.
Yeah, just like that's the real message here: is get rid of that fucking stigma of like. Yeah, he's a champion, like an Olympic. Man, I'm fucking mushmouth today. He is an Olympic champion, and you caught him hitting a bong after he just won so many fucking gold medals for swimming. Like, leave the guy alone. Like, why is weed so like demonized? Like, I'm not even a big weed smoker myself. You know this. Yeah. Like, I'm not a fucking pothead by any stretch of the term, but
not yet.
Like, well, yeah, I might get there now with this gout. I might get there, but all the same,
weed cures everything, man. Just like they said it Knocked Up. It's really true. Yeah.
But seriously, like, I mean, I come home talking about this Delta 8 shit. Like, I get off a long day of work, and a couple hours before I go to bed, I take 3-4 hits off of that, and I'm spacey for sure, and I get mellowed out. I'm in the couch, and what's wrong with that? I wake up in the morning and I'm fine. Like, what? Why is this so demonized? It just doesn't make fucking sense.
Because although it doesn't, like, what I think it really is that it makes people content, truly, and it doesn't make you lazy, but it makes it easier to be content with, like, what you have, and it makes, like, simple things more entertaining, and that doesn't fit so well into a capitalist society. You know, when we want people to be in constant competition and constant, you know, want of having more than the next person, like, that is one thing of, like, weed does. Is like, you're like, oh, fuck it. I don't need to be, like, that intense about all this shit. I'm going to, like, enjoy myself. You know, it's like, it's more like, it's such a present-minded, like, in making, like, just smoothing the rough edges of your day-to-day life, you know, that it takes away some of those, you know, that inadequacy that leads us to drive that ends up making people crazy in our crazy fucking society. And so, yeah, I'm kind of repeating myself a bit, but that's why I think it's demonized. It's not laziness. The best story I have about this actually once is this when I didn't have a car and a buddy came over, and right when he got over, I asked him if he'd give me a ride to the gas station at some point. And he's like, yeah, but we smoked a bowl first, and then hanging out for a while, and then it's like, you know, an hour later, he's going to get going. He's like, oh, do you need that ride at the gas station? And I'm like, and we'd been talking about this earlier. I'd actually said before, I forgot, this kind of sets up the whole thing. I said how weed makes you content. And he's like, you need to go to the gas station? I'm like, you know that whole thing I said about, like, being content? I feel pretty good. I don't think I need to go to the gas station anymore, you know?
Well, I guess that is the adverse side of it, because, like, the question I was going to pose is, wouldn't the government want you to be more easily contented?
No!
As far as, like... Well, but hear me out. So if you're say you're working a shitty job for a shit pay, but you come home and smoke weed, and then everything's okay. Wouldn't they want that? But then again, there's the adverse side of that, where it makes you think a lot more introspectively, and, you know, figure out how you're actually getting fucked every day. But and then there's the other thing with the, you know, your point about capitalism, where it's like, no, I don't need that bag of Takis. You know, I'm pretty good right now, actually.
Right, and I think with the job thing is, like, what it actually, and at least, like, I'd kind of put where my mindset has come from, where I haven't held, like, a typical job where I actually get, like, a printed paycheck from a place in 6 years now, about 5-6 years, and it's always just been like, well, fuck, if I'm going to be broke, I'm going to do it on my own terms, and I'm just going to find odd jobs in different ways to make fucking money, and I'll just piece it together. And even though I'm broke and I don't, you know, have all the things that everybody else has and all that sort of stuff, you know, I smoke a little weed during the day, and I feel pretty good about it, and I just keep on trucking, you know, and I keep getting ahead, and it all works out. But in that sense, is like, it just made me realize, like, no, like, if I'm going to be broke, I'm going to be broke on my own terms. I'm not going to be broke waking up to go to your shit fucking job every fucking day. You know what I mean? Like, setting an alarm to, you know, and being on your schedule on what you want from me. It's like, no, I can figure out how to make fucking $20,000 on my own. I don't need fucking, you know, McDonald's or Wall. I mean, I can get a better job than those places. I shouldn't fool myself, but still. Like, it also would probably require me to quit weed to get a better job, and I ain't doing that, so fuck.
I mean, all the same, like, genuinely, dude, like, I've been impressed by the way that, obviously, you have the dog, you know, taking care of the dogs to supplement, but, like, I've been impressed, like, by your ability to just make money by doing internet jobs and what have you. Just
piece it together.
Like, make a living.
You know, it's all in it, but it's really what I think the more point there, though, is to say is that, like, at least what I would put it as, is it really goes to show you how shitty jobs are paying, though, that, like, a person can do the different things I do and come out with about the same amount of pay. You know, so, like, that's definitely, like, a thing that's, like, something to think about. And, yeah, like, the dogs, to an extent, is a regular job. It's just that I have so many interesting perks, and the fact that, like, decide every day, like, when I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if I wanted to take off for 3 weeks, I could do that. You know what I mean? Like, as long as my boss is around, I only need to be here when he's working in Australia. So it just, yeah, I have just a ton amount of freedom. And that's really how I should phrase it is, I'm more or less, what it really is that I'm just insanely choosy to make sure that I'm going to be able to have my time in my control. And that, to me, is worth, like, a lot of fucking money. Like, that's worth probably $10,000-$15,000, like, less than pay for me just to be able to do what I want, you know, on a regular basis.
Yeah, dude, I totally get that. I mean, kind of the same with me and trucking. Like, I'm still on the fence on whether or not I want to start doing like over the road trucking, because that's a whole different ballgame. But even still with my current job, like, it's not that previous jobs I necessarily had a boss looking over my shoulder literally every second of the day, you know, but all the same, being on the road and just having my day be up to me as far as like, well, I need to go to these, you know, 8 or 9 places, and whatever happens in between is like kind of, you know, that's my problem.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. And it gives me a lot of time to think. It gives me a lot of time to listen to. I listen to a shitload of podcasts, as you know. I don't listen to ours because I don't need to. But so that's one less follower that we could have. All the same, I entertain myself both by listening to music and listening to, you know, other shows, and just I have the ability to think about things all day, and it's been a freeing experience. I may not be making the best money I could, but all the same, I wouldn't want to go to like a desk job after this, or, you know, anything like that. Oh God, because it's been too much of an experience where like I've been able to set my own terms of what my workday looks like for too long, where like I could never do anything else anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I even have it to the point where like every few months the idea sneaks into my head that if I just got like a weekend job, like 4 to 6 hours on the weekends, you know, that would just be so much extra money out of nowhere, even if I was only making like $12 an hour somewhere just to get like someplace I could work at that part-time, you know, that small of hours. It would be all the, like, you know, $600, something like that at the end of the month that I'm used to not having, that I could just save up really fucking easily. And it sounds like enticing to me for like a second when I think about it. And like I think about it, and sometimes I think it'd be nice to have coworkers around once in a while. You know, it'd make it a little easier to meet new people at times. And there's like social aspects I miss of having a more regular job. But then I think about like my name being put on a schedule, and like every weekend knowing that I'm going to have to do this thing whenever, you know, like, and then I'm just going to have to like set up my mentality for that. And like, and that now I'm like responsible to another person, you know, or what they want me to do. And as soon as like those things start crossing my mind, even just the thought of like having an alarm go off. And I wake up at 3 to 4 in the morning on my own every day. So like I get up like early as fuck so I can work. And like, it's not that I like to sleep in. It's just knowing that I'm in control of that. You know, I guess I'm a control freak. I mean, I've admitted to being a sociopath before, so.
But I mean, like to your point, like that is a phenomenal thing that even if the job doesn't pay the best, the when you're able to have the freedom of just doing what you need to do on your own terms, that is like such a huge fucking relief from like you said, like having your name on a schedule, on, you know, a calendar, this day, this day, this day, this shift, this shift, this shift. You know, like when you just know what you need to do and you get it done on your own terms, that is a fucking life changer.
Heck yeah. And like with the dogs, where that really works out so easily for me. I mean, this might be starting to bore people to